Since the dawn of time, humans have looked up at the sky at night and wondered, how do I keep my film flat when I'm camera scanning at home? Well, it turns out that there are actually quite a few solutions out there for film holders and devices that you can use to keep your film nice and flat and advance it when you're camera scanning at home. A few weeks ago, I already did a video on just kind of like the bare bones, the basics of getting into camera scanning and what's involved and what you should be thinking about when you're doing it. So you should definitely check out that video if you're looking for more of like a broad kind of primer for this topic. For myself at home, I use just a Lumix Micro Four Thirds digital camera in order to get decent enough results when I'm camera scanning and just experimenting with it. And today I'm going to be talking about one of the many film holder solutions out there that exist for people who are camera scanning, the Essential Film Holder, which was sent to me kindly by Andrew, the creator of the Essential Film Holder system. The Essential Film Holder is one of the budget-friendly options out there for people who are looking for something that will allow you to keep your film nice and flat when you're capturing the frames off of it with a digital camera. So let's take a closer look at the Essential Film Holder and then talk about things that I like and kind of don't like about it, and do a little comparison against the Valoy film holder, which is the unit I was using in the previous video where I talked about camera scanning. My Essential Film Holder is the current version that you can get, which is the V3, and you can check that out in the link in the description below for the website. The idea behind any film holder device accessory product that you can get when you're doing film scanning is that it allows you to feed your film through this device and keep it entirely flat while you're capturing the frames with a digital camera above it. I'll start out by saying that I like the Essential Film Holder a lot, and I do think it's a great choice for a lot of people who are getting into camera scanning, who are definitely looking to kind of make like one purchase that allows them to do several things with a bit of a budget in mind. So the Essential Film Holder is basically just like a little unit that is made up of several different layers that you can kind of interchange when you're using it. The bottom of the platform is a diffuser for your light source. So you can put it on top of your light source and it helps to soften it and make it more even across your frames as you're capturing. It's a great thing to have the diffuser just built into the unit. Some other film holder options offer it as a secondary accessory to put onto the units. Using the pegs on the four corners, you can add or remove the different masks that you need for the different formats that you're using. These plates are made up of non-scratch nylon, and they have a good weight and feel to them, and you get them in different sizes and framing options for the different film types that you might be using. So each setup is two of these plates, and in between the plates you need to put these guidelines for the frames. This is a guideline for 35mm, so it's the width of 35mm film, and this is the guideline for 120 film, so it's the width of medium format film, which is not 120mm, by the way. Very easy beginner mistake, less acceptable if you're a lab and you're putting it on your website for your marketing. So we unscrew the nuts here, and then you put on the plates that you want to use for the film that you're going to be scanning with your camera. There is like a little bit of kind of finessing to get them just to slide on, and you have to make sure that you're sliding them on in the proper order. So first we put on a bottom plate, and then the middle guideline, and then the top plate. And we want to make sure that the openings line up properly so that you can thread your film in here, and then it comes out the other side here. And it can go through the grooves of the plastic inserts in between the plates. Riveting stuff, I know, but it works really well. And it's just a matter of just getting all the plates that you want for the different kind of film that you want to capture. So using this unit, I can do medium format film that also shows the borders if you want to capture borders, which a lot of people do. 35mm with those sweet sprockets so that you can also get those borders in there as well. And you can also get more specialized plates as well. So ones for scanning mounted slides that just sit in the holder really easily, and ones for X-Pan. So if you're using a 35mm camera that shoots wider than normal frame sizes on 35mm film, then you can use the Essential Film Holder for those frames as well. The default masks for 120 film is a 6x9 size negative, but if people are more often shooting 6x6 or 6x4.5 or something like that, then you can get masks for that as well. So definitely one of the things that I love the most about the Essential Film Holder is that it is really versatile. You can buy what you need based on what you're shooting. So let's talk about the things that I really like about this. The diffuser is something that I really like. I like that it's built into the main unit so that you don't have to buy it as an additional accessory, it's just the base. So you can put it on top of your light source, and the light source is nice and soft. The nylon plates have a really nice feel to them. They are nice and smooth, and there doesn't feel like there's any scratching or any hard areas where I would worry that the film is going to come into contact with and scratch up. It also makes the whole unit nice and light. I know that negative supply is another option for film holders out there, and they make very nice all metal film holder units, and they also cost a fortune. Which brings me to the next part about the essential film holder is the price. This is probably the best option for budget in terms of film scanning solutions out there, and you're looking for just something to purchase that allows you to do a bunch of different formats and also not spend a ton of money in the process. The essential film holder kit, that is the 35mm and the 120 masks, will run you about $125 American. In the video from a few weeks ago, I was playing around with the Valoy 360 unit film holder. And for that setup, you can get just the basic holders for like 35mm and 120 for about 110 American dollars. But I used it with the base that has some roller mechanisms, which I do really like. But that adds up, and for that entire setup, you're paying closer to 350 American dollars. So pretty big price increase over the essential film holder. And then, of course, there's the negative supply stuff, which is incredibly well made, but definitely not something that everybody needs. You pay $375 American for the 35 holder and $480 American for the 120 holder. And those are just the basic holders, whereas the essential film holder is just like one unit that you can kind of swap out the pieces for based on what you're doing. The same goes for the Valoy stuff, where you just kind of swap them really easily. Now let's talk about some things that I don't love about the essential film holder. It can be a little like finicky and awkward at times to use and thread the film through and get started. I find it's best to usually just like loosen up the plates or even take off the first one to initially thread the film through, because it can be hard to kind of thread it through across the opening and then into the little gap between the plates on the other side. And this is just like awkward. It also takes a little bit of time, like swapping out the plates, unscrewing everything, removing stuff, putting stuff back on, and then screwing it back together. It's not like a huge deal by any means, but it is one of those things that just, you have to like sit down, take some time to do it. I would maybe also just get like some rubber caps or something to put on the feet, because like this thing slides really easily. And I do want to do a little comparison against the Valoy unit. Again, there's a bit of a price bump when you're using this if you want to get both the film holders and then the base that has the roller systems in it. But there's some things that I still really like about this that I wish were maybe just incorporated or similar to parts of the essential film holder. The big thing for me for the Valoy system, if you buy like the base, is that you get these nice little rollers. It might seem small, but it's so nice to not have to handle the film or touch it in any way or feel like you're just dragging it through yourself. And it just feels a little more smooth and satisfying than just like pulling it through the essential film holder by comparison. Valoy is still just getting started, so they're planning to offer some more options for this system as time goes on. There's a brush now, and there's a diffuser unit, which again, the essential film holder has built into it, so that's a big plus in its favor. Right now, the essential film holder has more options for what you want to scan and handle. The Valoy unit, though, is just really quick to swap out different masks for the formats that you're using. So 35, you just pick it up, toss it aside, and then you can drop in the 121 instead. And also rubber feet on the Valoy system, so it doesn't move nearly as much. But these are just little things, and both of these options are great. And for a lot of people, it just comes down to budget. I think the new brush accessory that you can get for the Valoy is a great idea. And I think something like that for the essential film holder would be really nice as well, because dust is a big thing when you're camera scanning. At least it is for me, and depending on like where people live, some places are just dustier than others, and it can be a huge pain because it adds a lot when you're editing later on to just also have to remove a lot of dust. Remember that camera scanning goes beyond just needing a device to keep your film flat, which the essential film holder does. It does quite well. I feel like everything is nice and flat when I feed the film through it. But you also need things like a nice digital camera, a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. That's the really important part to all of this if you're looking to get scans that are like a considerable step up from just using a flatbed scanner at home. Getting everything set up, feeding your film through, focusing your macro lens, and then also digitally cropping, editing, color correcting, and inverting your negatives properly is all like a big part of this style of scanning your film. I use Negative Lab Pro for inverting my stuff, which is a really nice fast fast plug-in for working with negatives in Adobe Lightroom. White balance to the negative, which yes, is something that I'm aware that I skipped out on the first camera scanning video, but whatever. Experiment with some settings and then invert. Negative Lab Pro, though, adds another $100 onto the camera scanning process if you go that route. As I've said before, think hard about where you're putting your money into, you know, film. Film costs money, developing costs money, cameras, lenses, accessories, all this costs a lot. I think that as good as a lot of these products are, for most people, a flatbed scanner is still going to be fine, and you should definitely look into some of those solutions before you think about pouring a lot of money into camera scanning. Flatbed scanners can be chunky and kind of slow, and they're not always incredible, but for a lot of people, it's great because it's also just like a single purchase along with maybe a secondary purchase for a paid scanning program like Silverfast, because a lot of people are also just scanning for social media, posting, sharing around with friends, and in that case, just have a lab scan your film. I feel like a lot of people getting into film as a hobby are immediately overwhelmed because it seems like you should be developing your own film to get your best results, be scanning your own film on really nice setups to be getting the most out of the medium and like using this stuff. And that might be true for a lot of people. If you want to go all in on stuff, then you definitely can, but you don't have to. You can enjoy film by just like shooting a little bit here and there, dropping it off at a lab to have it developed and scanned, and then you just get some JPEGs back in like a week. And it's perfectly enjoyable for people like that. And now to circle back to the essential film holder. If you're looking into camera scanning and thinking about these accessories and spending some of this money, then the essential film holder is probably going to do, for most people, like everything that you need it to. And you can do it on a budget. A lot of people will probably never need to upgrade from something like this, and that's perfectly fine. So definitely keep this in mind. You can check out the link to the website for this in the description below this video, and you can read a little bit more about it, and you can figure out exactly if this is going to be good for your workflow. Camera scanning involves a lot of things, and this is a good place to start. Thank you so much for checking this out, and thank you to Andrew for sending this along. I was supplied the unit and nothing else. I was not paid for this review, so everything that I've said in this video are my honest opinions about film holders and camera scanning and just everything. It's all me. You can check out the description below for different links, things to support the channel like the Patreon, as well as some merch. Head over there and check that out at the Redbubble link in the description. There's also the P.O. box if you've got some wild, weird, wacky film stuff to send along that turn into a video. And as always, I'll see you soon.